Ryan Clark, we just call him Race Baiter Clark now on the show.
Hey, that's my frat brother, man. Tread lightly.
I don't like that frat right now. There's a video that's released right now. Take a listen. I want to get your take right out the gate before we get into your free agent takes. Let's show it, Bailey.
They plant these certain reports or they say these certain things, and you do hear the word arrogant. Why is he arrogant? Because he won't walk into the meeting and bend the knee, or he won't sit in the meeting and question himself or his abilities or his knowledge and experience in the game. I don't believe that that's arrogance. I want a quarterback that's self-assured. I want a quarterback that can cut the film on, and when you ask him a question about why did you make this mistake or why did you make this throw or why was this the right read, I want him to be able to regurgitate that to me like he's in the play at the moment, the same way a coach or an offense coordinator would, because that's what he's going to have to do. And I've had conversations with Shedeur Sanders, and he can do that. We all know that it's not just about him being Deion Sanders' son. It's about the bravado he carries. It's about the fact that he looks a certain way. It is about the fact that the color of his skin sometimes at that position can be questioned. And I believe Shedeur Sanders is going to have to deal with that until he gets on the field. Now,
I want Shaun to respond first because Shaun is a black quarterback who was drafted and who was highly touted. What's your that's my first time hearing this, by the way, too. So what's your initial thoughts on that overall take? The overall take.
I got a lot of respect for Ryan Clark. What's up, Newt? But that take is bogus. Because I felt the same way about Will Levis. I thought Will Levis was arrogant, overconfident, too in love with his ability when he hadn't done a whole lot. So it's not a color thing. It's an evaluation thing. When you go and interview for a job, there's a certain decor that you have to have if you want to get that job. Like it's life. It's not about bending the knee or getting down on the knee, or it's just about respecting authority. They're in a position to hire you, right? Shedeur Sanders, Will Levis, they don't have a team to draft themselves to.
Right. And Shaun, I'll be honest, can we just be real? I don't know when, at least speaking for me, I don't give a fuck what color you are at quarterback. But before this past market shift that you two both talk about on this set, we know it's the market that every year somebody will replace the next guy regardless of color. I don't know why we're even talking color. But right now, a brother is the highest paid person in the NFL at quarterback, and Dak Prescott. Last year, 3 of the top 4 were brothers. So it's not like, please stop saying that it's because of color now where black quarterbacks are getting the low end of the stick on this thing. They're not. And to Smitty's point every day, well, the market will replace it. So now we got Trevor Lawrence moved up. Tua, who's not white, by the way, but we'll say he's poly. And Joe Burrow.
Josh Allen in terms of guaranteed money or whatever, but
I'm saying that's yesterday it happened. That just happened. Yep. Next year, Lamar will get redone. By the way, last year, Jalen Hurts was in the mix top. Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, fucking Dak Prescott. I'm just saying, we got to stop talking about the color. At least I would respect Ryan Clark more if he would have said that part too. Then I'll say, okay, now we can debate it. But it's always one-sided for him.
I feel like the take was actually good outside of that line. Like he would have left that line out.
No, the take wasn't. The take wasn't good at all.
The take's not good at all, by the way. None of the take was good.
I mean, basically, Ryan is saying that Shedeur is impervious to criticism.
Yeah, exactly. Because he's Deion's son. But he refused to say it was Deion.
And that's the hard part with this process. And I kind of feel bad for Shedeur. Because there's a lot of people putting on capes for Shedeur because of their affinity and relationship with Deion.
That's my point.
No, that is true. That part is definitely true.
And the Deion talk and only bring up the color talk. No, it's a 1,000% what Shaun said. It's Deion that is the issue. It's not the brother, the white boy. It's Deion. You're defending Deion.
Fact, what Shaun King said is a fact.
Yeah, but that's what Ryan should have said. He did.
And here's the thing. Shedeur's a big boy. Shedeur's he's in the draft process. It's not like this is a new process. When you kind of like Bronny. Well, the difference is Shedeur's more accomplished than Bronny. Like if Shedeur's dad wasn't Deion Sanders, Shedeur is still a draftable player.
I don't agree to
You
that,
can
but
debate. So you don't think he's draftable, JB?
I guess in this era, yeah.
Oh, I was about to say, get out of here with that shit. Now,
I guess he's draftable. I'm not saying, but he's not no first, second pick.
Okay, right. You can debate where he should be drafted, but he's a draftable player in every draft we've had in the last decade. Now, so where he goes may depend on what year.
And last year's draft was not even that good, and he's not even in the top 6 or 7.
Last year's draft was loaded at quarterback. JB, you tripping?
No, you can say that retrospectively now because of
going into last year's draft, that was one of the deepest quarterback drafts ever. All of those guys were starting except J.J. McCarthy, who got hurt.
But again, you're saying it retrospectively. Last year at this time, we were not saying it was one of the deepest drafts.
I absolutely was saying it was at quarterback.
Was it? We all thought Bo Nix was old. We went around to 4 different places.
Shaun was higher than way higher than you.
Talented. You said Drake May was talented, but
he loved Dating. I remember him.
He loved JJ. JJ didn't play.
Panic.
Caleb was talented. I coached JJ.
Drake May, he was high on that.
Let me go. We will debate that another day. But let me go back to that then. Where does Shedeur and Cam Ward get drafted last year? They're not in the top 5.
Right, but see, here's the deal. They're not in last year's draft. They're in this year's draft.
No, I get it, but I'm saying if you're going to talk about this, that's my point of being Deion's son, though. Remember,
why are you arguing with me when I said Shedeur is a draftable prospect? He's a draftable prospect.
Right.
Yeah,
now, where he's going to get drafted, that's yet to be determined. I don't think he's a surefire top 10 pick, but he's a draftable prospect, absolutely.
No, I'm not arguing with that, and I agree. My point was, last year, Deion said he was the number 1 pick last year. No, he's not. It's because
but that's the dad and Deion.
That's my point.
LeBron the same thing with like they don't say that about their kids.
That's my point. It's because of Deion. It's not black, white. It's Deion. That's my point. That Ryan Clark.
I made that point. Absolutely. Listen, I will tell you this completely. When it comes to the draft and quarterback, the NFL is colorblind as of 2000, probably 17 or 18. They don't care anymore. They will, if you can play the quarterback position in their eyes, they overdrafted Trey Lance. He black.
Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, they overdrafted Anthony Richardson. So they're colorblind when it comes to the draft process.
I think now they are. But the one point I'm assuming, I don't know what the topic was, but I'm assuming that's what they were talking about. Was the comments that came out about, Shedeur.
But it happens to everybody.
In the third.
It happens to everybody. It's not a color thing. It's a lack of intelligence thing on the NFL level. It's only 32 of these companies in the world, right? Yeah. And less than half of them can effectively, efficiently, and consistently evaluate the quarterback position.
Right.
It's just a hole that exists in most organizations. So when you don't have a lot of expertise when it comes to that position, you're going to get dumb comments. You're going to get dumb opinions.
But Shaun, I agree with all that. Let me ask you this, Shaun.
Right. Remember this. Last year after the combine, what was the narrative? C.J. Stroud is dumb.
Right.
He didn't do good on the test. Right. He
remember that.
All of a sudden now he can't process it. It's always something coming out of the combine negative towards one of the top quarterbacks.
That is 100% fact. The only not even pushback. Only thing I'll present is that it's not about race. I agree with that, but I do think there could be an ignorance just because of just not understanding a culture of how someone is. Meaning that Shedeur walks in the way he's walked in, like his dad, jury out, all that, and to a GM for a team or whatever who's not used to that. They may read that as, oh, this guy's cocky, arrogant, this, that, and the third. Whereas maybe you, Shaun, if you're the GM, you may see that, and that's like nothing to you because you grew up in that. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's a race thing. I'm saying it's more of like a...
But he did just say it's a race thing, homie.
That's
what you fucking literally said.
You be gonna walk in and do that.
You sound like Ryan Clark, homie. Come on, man. You got to miss me with this shit, homie. By the way,
and a style. Johnny Manziel, for example, whoever.
By the way,
guys who walk in with a certain style, certain swagger, that's different than the usual suited up whatever.
Shaun,
look at that. A GM might look at that and be like, damn, it ain't got to do it with race. I'm talking about like style and swag. Is what
tell
I
him this ain't new. Tell him this ain't fucking new. Tell
They
him
did
the
the
guy
same. Hey,
tell him the guy named Jim McMahon who had herringbones on in the 80s, homie, and everybody thought he was too black to be a white quarterback. Stop, homie. You got to listen to the old heads on this thing. This ain't a black and white thing. White boys had swag too. They thought Ryan Leaf was a cokehead, homie. They thought Ryan Leaf was a cokehead. They said he was too swagged out. He kicked it with too many brothers. He was a fucking 6'6" white boy. This is not a new thing. Like you just literally said exactly what Ryan Clark said without saying it. You said, it is. We know who it is, homie. Shaun King just said it. We know you got swag and who you are in your upbringing, homie. Johnny Manziel is $1 million pussy. And he came and hung out with brothers. They thought he was way too swagged out to be a white boy. Baker Mayfield, way too swagged out to be a white boy.
So that's my point.
It ain't no black and white thing, homie.
I'm not saying it's a race thing. I think it's more of a.
You just said it, though.
No, I did not. You're not fucking listening. I didn't say it was a race thing. I said it's a style and swagger, a culture thing. You mentioned Baker Mayfield, who's a white boy. You mentioned Johnny Manziel, who's a white boy. I'm saying when the quarterback is not quarterback-eel, when they're not coming in dressed to the nine, suited, talking in a way that we always historically will say is how a quarterback's supposed to act. I think some of these team GMs don't know how to read that. Whether you white, black, orange, or blue, it's a swagger and a style thing. I don't care.
What was Joe Burrow's
You just
knock?
mentioned Baker, who's a white boy, so why would I say race?
What was Joe Burrow's knock? Swag. That's exactly what they said in the draft. The motherfucker wore a certain way. He came in with fucking Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. They walked in together. He was fucking in a like a Diddy hoodie or a sweat or a velour sweatsuit, and they all were talking already. I heard everybody out. I heard fucking what's his name, Boomer Esiason and all. Well, he doesn't really present himself as a quarterback walking in here. I remember hearing that about Joe Burrow. Yes. So that's Shaun King's point. It's about the fucking whole narrative, regardless of who you are. Shaun put a year on it, 17, 18 or whatever. I think it's way before that. I think we've been seeing this shit for a long, long time. I just think that Ryan Clark and the media has a narrative that pushes this even more over the top. It's to Shaun's point. It ain't about fucking nothing else other than there's going to be something out there on you, regardless of the color. I don't give a fuck what they say.
I don't know what you are arguing about. I'm literally agreeing.
So let me say this. So
say shit about race.
Let me say this.
You insinuated, though.
I'm saying
I did listen, homie. I'm not retarded. I did listen. You insinuated culture is race, homie.
I said nothing about
race. You said culture. You said culture.
I said it's the style, the swagger, and then you mentioned Baker. I said yes, I agree. That's the fuck I'm talking about. So there's a separation between these old ass GMs and then look at these young players and how they dress and stuff.
Smitty,
you're smart. I'm not a white boy in Beverly Hills, though, homie. So you smart, but I'm not a white boy from Beverly Hills.
So let me speak to the actual prospects for a second. Because even though I think the evaluations are flawed on more than half of the organizations when it comes to this position, you still control your actions. And here's where you got to be careful. It didn't impact or affect Joe Burrow and Baker Mayfield. They went number one. It did impact and affect Johnny Manziel and Will Levis. They fell out the first round.
Right.
So like I mentioned on a previous show before free agency, and I said, I went into my draft. San Francisco told me that they were going to draft me in the mid-20s. They were like 24. So I went through that process like, I don't care what happened. I'm going to San Francisco. Mm-hmm. And then when San Francisco's pick came up, they went defensive tackle. So my advice would be, man, listen, go into every one of these interviews and these meetings like this is the only shot you got to get drafted in the first round. Because you don't want to alienate anybody because where you're drafted means the more money you make initially.
Right.
So it's a duality to it, but none of it's based on race. It's just some guys got big time swag, big time energy. Some teams don't want that. Some guys don't care that some teams don't want that. My thing is don't alienate any potential first round team.
I agree with you 100%.
And Ryan Clark, it got nothing to do with the color of Shedeur's skin. Stop capping for Deion. Shedeur's a big boy. He can handle it.
I wish he would just say it's for Deion, though. Miss me with all the bullshit. Just say it's for Deion, homie. Like, that's all I'm saying. I don't know. That's just where I'm at with it.